Here we go. NASCAR 09 was a tough cookie when I first got it. I was already disgusted by NASCAR 08's content cutting and overall less enjoyable experience compared to NASCAR 07. Remember that I was playing these games on the PS2, so I was actually getting the more enjoyable version of the game every year, and I was still incredibly let down. NASCAR 09, on the other hand, was just a disgrace in my opinion. If I had the knowledge of the gaming industry when I was 12 years old in 2009, I would have gladly accepted the fact that EA was stepping down from developing NASCAR games. We'd have to wait all the way until mid-2011 for the next NASCAR game to be released. This game was redesigned from the ground up as to what EA had forged before. This game was being hyped to be the next biggest thing in racing video games, and to top it all off, I finally had a PS3 at this point, so I'd actually be able to play the game. So was it as good as everyone said it was going to be? Here's your answer. It was developed by Eutechnics. That's all I have to say, actually. The review is over. Thank you all so much for watching my review of NASCAR 2011 the game. This has been... Yeah, I get it. You want an actual review. Do you want my opinion on this game? Like, honestly, I despise this game. I hate every solitary byte of data on the spinning plastic disc that this abomination resides in. You want to know why? Well, there's 6 fucking reasons why. Gameplay, graphics, sound, soundtrack, menus, and replayability. In this review, I will analyze all 6 of these aspects to tell you why NASCAR the Game 2011 fucks each and every single one of them up the ass. Like most NASCAR games, the objective is to drive forward, turn left, and repeat for upwards of 3 hours. How Eutechnics managed to absolutely fail in every sense of the word with such a simple concept is incomprehensible. Look at this. Even at the game's highest difficulty, I absolutely destroyed everyone in this race. There's no competition at all. Eutechnics was really proud of the fact that they used actual telemetry data when creating the AI for this game, so it feels like you're really racing against these drivers. If these guys really suck this badly, then someone seriously needs to give me a Sprint Cup ride, because nobody can keep up with me through this. Cars will generally handle better when you're out front, and have no one else to deal with. Really, the only danger to your success is the idiocy of the people behind you, because the AI are complete buffoons. Sometimes they'll randomly check up in the middle of corners. They make absolutely sure to try and ruin your day. It's a good thing Eutechnics implemented the instant rewind feature. This isn't the first game to have this feature. Rather, that was NASCAR 08. But it really helps you out whenever someone hits you for no reason whatsoever. Bad part is that you only get 5 rewinds, and since everybody else on the track is an absolute moron of motorsports, you'll dwindle those rewinds down fast. That's not the best part about the gameplay. No, sir. Go to a plate track if you want to see that. If you run a race at a plate track and fail to win, then buddy, it's time for you to play a different game. Plate tracks have no means of balancing the field. One guy can power past an entire freight train of cars on their own, and that guy doesn't even have to be you.
But don't think for one second that this is going to get you the win. If it was a one-lap shootout, then yes, this is what you would do to win. However, once the race starts getting into a longer portion of time, people are going to start linking up with each other, and they are really ridiculously OP when they do so. You see, your AI drivers will drive perfectly in a tandem draft, and it's a real struggle for you yourself to do this, especially on the highest difficulties, and even then, it is nearly impossible to catch up with one of these tandem drafts once they get really far out. Wow, this is realistic. You know, when this racing actually happened in real life, the cars would have to de-link themselves so that they could get air to the engine so that they didn't blow the damn thing up. In this game, however, that does not exist, and they can continue to be locked up together for the entirety of a 200-lap race at Daytona, which is, in case you were wondering, not realistic.
This plate track racing is offensive enough on its own, but the best part about this is that another game got plate racing perfect, and it was released 3 months before NASCAR 2011. Gran Turismo 5 introduced NASCAR into the series for the first time since GT2. By the way, that car in Gran Turismo 2 is a fucking beauty. If you buy a NASCAR in Gran Turismo 5 and run a race at Daytona, the cars will run nearly identical to the way that they did in real life at the time. Cars can't pull away like in the Technics game because the air will stop the leaders and the draft will help the guys behind the leader. This is the most realistic display of NASCAR racing outside of iRacing and Papyrus games, and to top it all off, it wasn't even in an actual NASCAR game. Gran Turismo 5 had literally 1,000 other cars to calibrate when Technics only had 43. And even then, Gran Turismo still played better than NASCAR 2011. What a joke. Here's something cool. It's more of a graphical thing though. When a car hits the safer barriers, you can see the barrier actually giving in. It's a nice detail that you can really only enjoy by watching it via the replay feature. Well, let's get set up for this restart.
Watch your rear. He's coming on the high side. He's coming on the outside. He's charging.
What the hell? Wait, what happened to my car? You saw it, didn't you? When the caution came out, I had no damage to the right front, but when the game transitioned to the restart, suddenly my right front was completely destroyed! What the actual fuck? Glitches like this are a reason why this game is so abysmal. You can't even trust the game to keep your car in good condition while it automates under caution. And don't even get me started on the wrecks. My god, the wrecks. Honestly, the wrecks in this game are more realistic than in previous games. When a couple of guys spin, the chaos is kept to a pretty bare minimum, and it looks like it actually would if this was a real-life race. Other times, though, well... you get the idea. Look at this. In what universe would a wreck like this happen? Seriously, tell me, this is absurd. The end of Turn 4 at Atlanta is particularly problematic in this game. Merely tapping the outside wall will force your car to nearly a standstill, causing a huge wreck. Look at some of these wrecks. What the actual fuck? I did one 17-lap race at Atlanta to get the footage for this review, and this happened on 3 different occasions. We're not done yet. Look at this pit road setup. Are you kidding? You needed a loading screen for the pit crew? Really? You honestly couldn't chug out a simple animation and had to bring up a loading screen? No one else in the field gets a loading screen to pit. That time you're waiting for your crew to load into existence is more time that the AI has to charge past you. Granted, you'll be way up out front anyway, but it's the principle of the thing, honestly. This game has career mode, of course. And it's not so much career mode rather than a season mode, where you pick a driver and run the season. There's no sponsors, no contracts, none of that fun stuff from the EA games, just a season. There's some invitation-only events, but those are pretty much just the lightning challenges from previous years rebranded. It's obvious they were trying to go for more of a simulation game like Gran Turismo when they made the game's engine. But they made one fatal error when doing so. They added a gameplay point system. Awesome. Now it feels like an arcade game, like you should be starting at the back in every race and working your way up through the field to get the most points. That's not really realistic. Best part about this is that to get the most points out of celebration mode when you win a race is to just hold the brake and gas buttons for that 30-second period. Oh joy. All in all, the gameplay suffers from idiotic AI, a ridiculous engine, and terrible physics. There are very few positives to take away. I give NASCAR 2011 3 out of 10 for gameplay. Look at this game. Why is it so beautiful? Why is this abomination gotta look so pretty? The shadows aren't grainy, the reflections are fantastic, the cars look great, the decals on the cars are really detailed, and there are actual sprites of people in the seats around the track. Everything is so pretty in this game. Did the developers blow all of the game's budget on aesthetics? Because it looks like they blew the entire game's budget on aesthetics. The graphics are pristine, but I do have one problem with them. The damage model on the cars is kinda crap. When you hit the wall, the edges of the car will start to fall apart. The doors look fine, but the front of the car looks like shit. Look at that. Have you ever actually seen the front of a race car look like this? In real life, the cars bend and fold when they hit the wall, but in this game, the sides of the cars turn black, and the front and back peels apart like the skin of an onion. Now that's not right. I give NASCAR 2011 8 out of 10 for graphics. The sound in this game is average at best. Cars sound fine, but could be better. When you're caught up in an accident, it sounds pretty good. The biggest issue with sound that I have is your crew chief. He's the guy you have to put up with listening to for the whole race, and should be tolerable to listen to. He isn't. In NASCAR Thunder 2004, your crew chief sounds clear and crisp and even has a few funny lines. The following EA games have a good crew chief too. He isn't too funny, but he speaks clearly, and his voice is comfortable and soothing. NASCAR 2011's crew chief spends half the time screaming inaudibly, and the other half checking out girls' asses in the grandstands. This crew chief is garbage.
Nice and easy. Just keep doing what you've been doing.
I give NASCAR 2011 6 out of 10 for sound. There is very little going for the soundtrack. Yeah, it has some ZZ Top, which automatically gives soundtrack 5 points, by the way. But the rest is so bland, you'll forget you even heard anything once the game is turned off. Whatever happened to the amazing soundtracks from the early EA days? Even NASCAR 09 had more memorable music than this. I give NASCAR 11 6 out of 10 for 6. I really can't believe I'm fucking this shit up. I give NASCAR 2011 6 out of 10 for soundtrack. Up next is menus. You may wonder why I choose to rate menus for the overall game. I just think that being able to navigate exactly where you want to get in the game needs to be fluid and simple. Otherwise, you end up fiddling around with these things much longer than you want to be. The menus in this game aren't that bad at all. In fact, they're probably the second best part of the game behind the graphics. Yeah, of course, there's some unnecessary animations you have to put up with, but it's not that bad for the most part, especially compared to future Utechnic games. The biggest issue is that sometimes you have to wait through a loading screen to get to the next menu screen. What is this game's infatuation with loading screens? It doesn't help that this game is notoriously known for its ridiculously long loading screens. Look at this side-by-side comparison to other games' loading screens. Stuff, Utechnics. If you need to install content onto the hard drive to play the game, at least do something about the loading screens. I give NASCAR 2011 7 out of 10 for menus. There is very little replay value in NASCAR 2011. Every other NASCAR game that Utechnics has made is better than this one, albeit not by much. Not to mention the fact that future games actually have a career mode to play. The only reason to honestly go back to this game is to race the paint schemes from 2010 and 2011, or go achievement hunting. Oh hey, did I mention that this game has online achievements? Of course it has online achievements. What horrendous game is complete without online achievements you can't earn a year after the game is released since the servers are shut down? Of course. Don't worry, achievement hunters. It's not like anyone played NASCAR the game online to begin with. And if you've been following along throughout this review, you should understand why by now. I give NASCAR 2011 4 out of 10 for replayability. And that's all my grading criteria out of the way. Time for the final score. Before that, let me mention a few things I haven't yet. There's a really, really bad paint scheme booth to create your own paint schemes with. You remember Toyota's Sponsify from a few years back? Yeah, that Flash game had better paint booth than this game. Holy moly. Now for the final score. Keep in mind, this is my opinion and personal experience I've took from the game. Your game may be broken and wrong if you have any different experiences. After grading the game over the 6 categories, I've come up with the final score of 5 out of 10. This game does not deliver the NASCAR experience. There is no reason to pick it up unless you're trying to complete your collection. The very next game, NASCAR Inside Line, is better, which I discussed 3 years ago in a review. Utechnics developed 4 NASCAR games for consoles and slowly got better as they went along, but never even came close to the threshold for a good NASCAR game. This game was like the Sonic Unleashed of NASCAR games. It had good things going for it, but the majority wasn't. Steer clear of this game if you can. This has been